Welcome back to another Kong stream, another PvP stream. We are continuing with the Summit der Langrisser series, and we're moving into now games in the top 32. So the first round is over. All these games that we're going to be watching now will be people who have survived an elimination match against someone already in the first round. So for our purposes today, that means Leumas versus Melliflluent. Players are just getting ready to start, getting a drink, exchanging friend requests and so forth, but I do know that they're both alive, so I can at least get this stream started now. And get ready for when the match actually begins. Don't mind the peanut gallery back there. They like to fill the dead air while I'm typing out my stream link for people. Speaking of fun streams, I am going to be streaming some Apex tomorrow, some actual Apex during the actual Apex window. Which is not something I often do. Yeah, I haven't typically been streaming my own games, but this is going to be an exception because it's not going to be my own games. I mean, it is going to be my account. But it's not going to be me playing. Might leave that mysterious for now. At least until tomorrow when all is revealed. But either way, it's going to be entertaining. Okay, I think the channel is sufficiently pimped. We are just waiting for Leumas to get back with a beverage. Hey, welcome to the chat, Colin. Glad to hear you're getting into Apex. Hey, Dreadful Cobra. Yeah, Apex is pretty fun. It does kind of have a little bit of a barrier to entry just because people get intimidated. Do I have my stream open? Ooh, that's very possible. Good call. Let me check my little mute settings. I could have it open on YouTube. Alright, there should be significantly less echoage now. Rope, thank you for that tip. If you still hear echo, then we probably have another problem, which will be less easy to diagnose, so hopefully not. Thank you, Vicus. They didn't feel very nice at the time. Having a bunch of off banners like that show up was kind of startling, but I knew that I was going to be spending a lot of tickets on that banner anyway, so the end result is fine. The end result is fine. Yeah, this is the first time that I'm actually streaming and monitoring chat and everything on the same computer. Normally, I used to have my chats and stuff set up on my desktop PC so that I could monitor them and stream from my laptop. But this week, I actually just got a new, totally sweet, totally rad Samsung ultra-wide monitor. Like, it's basically the size of two big 4K monitors side by side. So, oh, it looks like Leumas is getting started, so less bragging about my stuff and more actually looking at a PvP match. So they are just getting started here now. It looks like they're on the desert map. Leumas as player 1, And let's take a quick look at their boxes while they're going through this ban pick. You may remember from their games in the previous round, Leumas actually had a really good experience on the desert map. He managed to kind of rush down his opponent in both games and really ended things pretty quickly. Melliflluent in the earlier round, it looks like they're running the same box. I remember they had Wandering Duelist, Claret, and Girl in the Shell, so definitely a unique box that may cause some problems for Leumas if he has to think about and adapt his strategy to some unusual characters that he's not used to facing. Leumas does have Grenshiel in the box, he also has Archon in the box, and I'm not sure what star level Leumas's Grenshiel is at. We haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but she's a nice addition because she does have that automatic faction buff for people like Archon and McLean. So we'll see if he gets any good use out of her. So interestingly, Melliflluent decided to first ban Leumas's Lightbringer, allowing him the opportunity to get Z2 out first. Leumas, for his part, banning this Z2, and allowing Melliflluent to get Watham out first. Oh, and Leumas, okay, that's very interesting and probably smart. Leumas following up with a second ban of Wandering Duelist. One of the reasons this is interesting is because she actually combos very well with Watham, especially if Watham is given the opportunity to charge in early like he normally does, pop a sword down, and try to make an early trade for someone. Because if the opponent then kills the Watham or kills the sword, then they get that automatic Wandering Duelist revenge mechanic put onto them, which gives her an opportunity to do a lot more damage and start spreading her fixed damage curse around your team as well. So Leumas didn't want to have to deal with thinking about getting baited into making a kill and then having to deal with this revenge mechanic for the rest of the game. Definitely something that I think someone like Melliflluent, who has Brenda as their profile picture and has had them in their box for the duration of this tournament, something that they're used to kind of playing with, and something that Leumas does not want to have on his mind while he's playing his usual game. Yeah, Venoriana, I like Werner. I think part of Werner's problem is the same as what his problem pre-exclusive was, is that he's still fairly short-legged in this kind of meta. As the meta starts to shift back to really turtliness, we may see Werner start to come back then, if there's space in the box. When that happens, we're also looking at having, Grenshiel and Awakener in the box, so we may be tight for spots. But I know people are putting Oboro in. Yeah, Werner's exclusive is good for Apex. It basically puts him in strike stance right away at the start of the battle, so he doesn't have to waste a turn getting his strike stance set up. And even if he attacks someone, and as long as he does it without moving, it'll put him back into strike stance. So it's basically a way to keep his strike stance up way more often. Okay, so Leumas here is so far drafting some nice DPS. Archon is an interesting pick. He definitely has some pivot potential. There's no Hilda or really displacement immunity on Mellifluent's side now, so Archon is going to be able to grab someone and move in, which makes him essentially a long-range assassin, a pretty good long-leg assassin. He's getting D-Heart out as well. Melliflluent taking the last couple of rounds to ban out a lot of Leumas's AoE here. But it looks like Leumas is going to be able to go for a pretty straightforward single target rush or single target trade down strategy. Melliflluent does get Claret out, which can help control the range and the distance a little bit. Claret obviously with a lot of mobility. Wouldn't be surprised to see either of these picks from Leumas now, to be honest. Epsilon does bring a buff. I believe Archon is Meteor as well, isn't he? Maybe he's not. Maybe it's original Virash that's Meteor. But Grenshiel does buff a couple people in here as well, so we will get to see the new Leumas Grenshiel in action. So we'll take a look at how built she is and how good she ends up being in this box. But Melliflluent is going to grab the faction buffer for Lostum and Claret. I'm pretty sure Claret is Meteor at least. Okay, so both players will be adjusting their formation, their skill selection, soldiers. We'll see if we get some new soldiers in action, like the War Falcons on Grenshiel. And both players are looking to be going for basically an all-in DPS approach. So it's basically going to be a question of who manages to engage first, who gets the first good engagement. Leumas will have this Zerida hanging back, waiting for the opportunity to combo with whoever he opens with. It seems like Archon and D-Heart are his most likely early openers, although Grenshiel can be pretty decent to move in as well. So we do have the AoE on Z2 there. This is the AoE of Grenshiel as well. So this is a pretty standard setup. She has her 3C with the faction buff, her Act Again move. Melliflluent did bring the Gargoyles on Watham with Air Slash, so he's looking like he's planning to move in on turn 1 if possible. We've got Lostum here with Archers. We have Accelerated Aid on that Epsilon. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It looks like this is a 4-star Grenshiel. Probably going to be seeing a lot of those around, to be perfectly honest, in this first weekend of Apex with her. Most people, I think, were trying to summon a couple copies. No doubt there are going to be some whales out there who have a 5 or 6-star as well. Yeah, the new Flyers, the new Falcons on Claret. Very nice choice. They go really well with her mobility. Yeah, Rope, I think I have about 108 Rainbow Shards right now, and I'm really debating whether I want to use them on her or not. I'm gonna wait until the day before the playoffs, though, to make that decision. Okay, nice opening layout, getting that mobility on the characters who can actually use it. Wow, Rope, that is really good results. I think I total did about 370 summons, and I got 2 Grenshiels, 2 Connies. So you basically got 6 more on-banner units than I did in the same amount of summons. Melliflluent potentially holding the Watham for later in the turn to possibly jump in. Right now he could hit Grenshiel or Archon. Archon has a revive though. He's not considered in water yet, so it wouldn't be a big revive. Alright, I'm going to start getting salty if people keep talking about amazing summoning results in the chat. Alright, Loomis really just moving the Gren there to keep her safe from the Waitham. And the Archon is pretty good Waitham bait, to be honest. Okay, so we are going to see a similar opening to what Loomis used in his second game last week. Lost him grappling off this Doom to kill Dehart. So Loomis basically fell for his own trick. The old accelerated aided lost him, so he should be able to pull himself back to his team. Or actually, no, just back to this Doom. He's done his job, though, and now he's hanging out on defensive terrain. Mildly defensive terrain. It does give this Archon everything he needs to bounce off this. Is he able to reach anything else, though, or is he going to have to settle for this lost him kill? Yeah, it looks like it's only going to be lost him or nothing. Loomis still thinking, though. I wonder if he's considering... Okay. He's considering where he wanted his Archon to end up in terms of trading. Yeah, the defense stacking is just wild, B-Guy. I mean, I used to have a lot of respect for the defense stackers and the bulk gods. But now everyone has followed their path. I mean, the units kind of naturally make that the most viable option. So we could have Waitham go after this Archon. Loomis will have turn priority either way. So he will have a couple of units who can either move into position to trade or get into a better position for later in the turn. He did move his Archon nice and close at the end of his action last turn, but the Waitham did do an extra little side job of blocking off this entrance into Mellifluent's team. So if he wanted to attack someone here now, it would have to be Waitham or a shielded Epsilon. Okay, and he's just going to go for the sword. And that's fine. Another thing the sword does is it creates a Zera ball here, nice and close, tucked into Mellifluent's team that Zerida can use to bounce off of. You would think so, Will, but Mellifluent was using Claret before the new troops came out. If anything, it is just going to vindicate their choices. New troops and casting passive. We'll see if Mellifluent makes better use of Claret than in the last round. She did get picked in the last round. But Mellifluent also had Wandering Duelist in both games in their previous round. Alright, Epsilon going to go ahead and pop the 3C and the shield already. So he's going to be an accelerated aid bot for the next couple turns. Now, Loomis is in a bit of a sticky spot, though, because he can get in with Zerida, but he doesn't have anyone else who can follow up with her right away. She moves 3 after her act again, I believe. So if she had brought Air Slash, I believe she has a ranged attack. I think it's Air Slash. Instead of her AoE, she could have gone in for this Watham and had Zerida as backup, but Mellifluent still has a couple of scary DPS here too, so that would have been probably a bit of a hasty trade. The Loomis is going to wait and look for a better opportunity. Probably try to get IBC up a little bit closer to position as well. But one thing we can't see on the screen, unfortunately, which is a perennial complaint of all streamers. I mean, we see this 10 threat range. But we basically have to count it out because Zilong won't show it to us on our screens. Come on, Zilong, just put a little option up here. See where we've got animation speed and animations? Just put a little danger zone toggle as well. Let us choose, like, you know, you can click it 3 times for either, like, left, right, or off to see, like, which danger zone you want to see. That would be pretty cool. Like, click it to see Loomis danger zone, click it to see Mellifluent danger zone. Yeah, B-Guy, this big danger zone button works for us because it's showing us what our danger zone is. But for spectate mode, how does the game know who you are? You have to tell it who you're rooting for. I guess it could just default to who you're actually spectating to. That would be fine. Anything would be fine, to be honest. Okay, so Loomis is asking Mellifluent here to commit to an action with one of these scary DPS. Yeah, Mellifluent saving Claret's action, which probably makes sense because it makes it a bit more dangerous for Zerida to just hop in here. Claret probably able to finish her off, which is not what Loomis wants. Ideally, Loomis would have, you know, possibly been willing to go in, kill someone, and then have a Zerida death, knowing that he had turn prio next turn, and could pick up this Zeraball while doing something else at the start of next turn. But it's looking a little risky now. We will see what Loomis decides to do with this Zerida. Yeah, he's just going to hide her for another turn. Wait for a better opportunity. Wait to see if Mellifluent gets out of position here. Seems unlikely with this commanding threat range. Mellifluent is not really under any pressure to move up quite yet. The only thing... Oh, and a breeze. Nice. I mean, not that it matters. Claret moves where Claret wants to move at this point. Just barely out of reach of Loomis's team. But Loomis is definitely running out of places to go, so he needs to be able to pull the trigger, and that's the thing, he can't get quite close enough with these other units. So he's still going to probably hang with these two and then decide this turn if he wants to pull the trigger with Zerida or not. Melliflluent in range to make a move here. It's going to be a single target snipe on this IBC. And that is more than enough. Leumas just getting outzoned really hard here. The problem is he can kill whoever he wants with Zerida. But then the rest of Mellifluent's DPS can basically clean up using outnumber advantage. Okay, so he's gonna go with the AoE here, right in the front. This is gonna block Claret's act again. Maybe Leumas was hoping to counter-kill someone. But Mellifluent has enough units that he can just hammer down this Zerida. He had Epsilon as well. Okay, so he wanted to see what would happen there with that AoE. If he had counter-killed the Claret and then gotten killed from Epsilon, maybe Grenshiel could have soloed the other three? Probably not. Alright, Leumas is going to be thinking hard about that Claret during pick ban this time, I believe. He had a great team, it was just a question of being able to close. He needed to be able to get close enough to launch all those attacks. Just Zerida things. Alright, so let's see if either player is going to make a box change. Okay, Leumas bringing up a Clotaire and a Helena. He is player 1 here again, it's a nice wide open map. So he's going to be looking at stuff that can give him a little bit easier chances to get in deep on Mellifluent's team. So, Clotaire, for example, is the kind of unit who can rush right in on turn 1 and immediately make his presence known. Claret or no. Okay, and Leumas, yep, going with the first pick Clotaire, first ban Rosenseal, so that's going to be his opening gambit. Now we're going to see if he's able to pick up any of these AoE units that combo really well with Clotaire. Polyol, Matthew, even Watham still, and this Helena that he put up there. Lucretia, obviously also a good AoE. So he has Polyol and Matthew available as options if he wants them. Mellifluent opening with the Watham again. Really loves that first pick Watham. Not 100% sure if this is a Balance Blade Clotaire either. That gives him a little bit of extra reach. And Leumas is bringing out the Poly as well, so he's putting all his eggs in this AoE rush basket now. Mellifluent is getting the opening of a scary combo in his own right. We've got Watham with the Zerida, so Watham can charge in. Leumas will have the first move, obviously, as player 1, but Watham is able to charge in, and then Zerida can teleport to him, or teleport to the sword. So if the opening Clotaire isn't too crippling, Mellifluent may choose to just ignore that for his first turn and start a counter rush of his own. Leumas still banning out this Wandering Duelist. He still doesn't want to have to deal with that wrecking the rest of his team while he's trying to set up for stuff. Okay, and for his third pick, we are getting a Gintoki. Gintoki's just a really strong carry and cleanup unit here. He does have the Scooter Dash for a little bit of an AoE of his own, but usually the idea here is that Leumas will be able to do enough damage to Mellifluent's team with the Clotaire and the Poly that a beefed up Gin will be able to stroll his way in and just start killing the rest of those units. Still lots of really scary options available on Leumas' side as well. Epsilon's an interesting pick into this kind of team because, at least for the first couple turns, he knows he's not going to be able to keep his shield up. Just lots of AoEs going around. We've seen Mellifluent really likes to use Epsilon as his accelerated aid bot anyway, so that may be the main reason he's there. Leumas continuing to ban out strong single-target DPS that can help Mellifluent trade down with him better. Leumas not concerned about this Hilda at all. If he's coming in, splashing AoE around, it doesn't matter if Mellifluent has a tank. He also knows from experience that Mellifluent is probably not going to be too inclined to bring a tank regardless. Grenshiel, I believe, faction buffs Clotaire as well. I'm pretty sure he's strat. Yeah, we will get to see Girl in the Shell in action. That's nice. So between Mellifluent's games this week and last week, in the first two rounds, we did get to see a couple Wandering Duelist games, a couple Claret games, and now we got one of these. See if she does anything. Yeah, she may bring some healing to the table. McLean is a nice pick here from Leumas. He's not going to do too much in terms of zoning because the Claret, the Epsilon, and the Watham can all be flying and they can ignore his terrain. But he is going to be able to have a revive, which is nice when you're up against this kind of comp. And he can also slowly but surely get his way into an AoE rush. So he can help these other AoE units pelt Mellifluent's team a little bit as well. Yeah, Girl in the Shell can fly. Zerda doesn't really need to fly because regardless of what is down for terrain, she can pretty much just teleport where she needs to go. So yeah, I strongly suspect we will see a positional setup from Leumas for a first turn engage with the Clotaire at least. And then I'm not sure whether Polyol is going to be able to get in on the first turn. Maybe if she's on boots. Okay, let's see what we got here. We probably won't have to wait long to see what's going on. So we got the double AoE on Polyol. She's not bringing guard. Grenshiel is bringing the active guard. That's an interesting one because she can also activate her guard with her other skill. So choosing this one is an interesting choice. Well, I guess it's because it'll just passively guard as well without her having to cast. So that's fine. It's nice to have a guard for Leumas. Acting with Grenshiel first to get the faction buff off before going in with Clotaire. And it looks like we do not have flying on the Watham or the Epsilon. So let's see how Melliflluent wants to use the gifted first action before Clotaire comes in. Hiding the Epsilon. So at least protecting a little bit of his team from this Clotaire. Okay, Loomis is going to be able to hit everyone else other than that Epsilon now. Oh, yeah, I mean, once you open with that amount of damage and you don't have anything, I mean, I guess we won't be able to see if Gitz has mass heal, but that really puts you on your heels right at the start of the game. We'll know pretty soon if this has mass heal or not, because Mellifluent is going to want to use it. And to be honest, there's no real need for Loomis to rush in and try to get everything done this turn. Mellifluent already on their heels with all that damage. Loomis can pretty much just get this Polyol in position to get ready for early next turn if need be. Alright, so Watham has already cleansed that garbage off him. But Air Slash does nothing. Billionaire, welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow. Enjoy your Seal Guardian. Okay. Mellifluent not in terrible shape here as long as they play patient. Yeah, definitely got some good luck there on the first turn from Mellifluent. So, I mean, Clotaire surviving that really is not a big factor. Obviously, all his skills on cooldown. Clotaire's job is really to run in and explode, and then die. McLean getting some water down, getting his assassin skill available. Does catch a breeze. He has on water, so he has his revive. He can reach to AoE next turn if he wants. Zerida able to teleport. Well, she doesn't even really need to teleport because she got that accelerated aid from Epsilon, so she could come up and teleport off herself if she wants. Claret not fully charged up yet, but she will be. It'll be RNG, Pete. When the cooldown is off this, then it'll roll new skills. So it's definitely possible that it'll be mass heal again, which would basically put Mellifluent back in starting reset position, especially after those clocks on Watham. Okay, so Polyol is moving up into position. to get ready to launch something next turn. Melliflluent spreading out and doesn't want everybody getting smoked by that poly or stunned. Leumas going to launch the poly now, doesn't want to give Melliflluent an opportunity to move more units out of the way. Oh, does barely manage to get the Scarlet Reaper kill on that Ghost in the Shell, stuns the Claret. Claret with only 354 hit points left, so almost a big double kill on those units. The stun is good enough for now. So now Polyol is up here, front line, vulnerable. She does have a revive though. Let's see if Melliflluent can do anything with it. This is basically just cleaning up that Clotaire. Clotaire not really going to do anything. I guess it creates a Zeraball as well, so Zerda can get back and reach. Well, who can Zerda reach if she bounces off that? No one yet. Yeah, Rope, it's too bad you can't choose when to act your stunned characters. Because at least she can blow up and give Epsilon another stack. Polyol did manage to pick up one of those Watham Despair passives, so her revive is actually not going to be available right now. So she could be straight up killed, possibly by this Epsilon. Another good reason to go with Watham first there. Leumas getting Gintoki ready. Yeah, I think the Claret is toast regardless. It's just a question of when, B-Guy. So importantly, Watham's 3C is back and ready for use. Air Slash, not quite yet, but that doesn't really matter too much. Zerda still a threat even though she's hurt. This could come down to Epsilon versus Gintoki carry match. And to be honest, well, I suppose it depends on what this Zerda does. I mean, Gintoki does get the act again off that Polyol kill. The question is now... he can reach Zerida, because these tiles speed him up a little bit. I mean, I do think that's a pretty good use of a Gintoki. So just enough of an AoE to knock off Epsilon's shield, which is good. Grenshiel and McLean are going to want to jump in here. Catches a breeze, very nice. Didn't have to use her act again yet either, so she's going to be ready to attack whoever she wants next turn. Yeah, she can reach everything next turn. So Mellifluent with turn priority here is going to be able to try to do something about this Gintoki. Epsilon's 3C is not up yet unless someone dies. Which may be happening right now. Yeah. Okay, Mellifluent didn't want to try to go 1v3 with his Epsilon there. So that gives us game 1 to Leumas. Or game 1 to Mellifluent, game 2 to Leumas. So 1-1. Very interesting matches so far. An interesting pivot from Leumas to go from a strategy where he was player 1, but he was effectively zoned out and couldn't threaten Mellifluent's team. Pivoting to AoE to give himself a nice opening, and that Clotaire basically gave him time to bring the rest of his units in. I mean, not to mention the giant explosions that kept happening. So let's see if we get another box change with Leumas now as player 2. Probably safe assumption that he's going to be inclined to take that Clotaire back out. Clotaire is really good as a move 1, basically AoE ambush unit, but as player 2 it's a little bit more difficult to pull that off, because player 1 basically has their first turn as an opportunity to kind of get out of the way of it. Or try to mitigate it, basically. But we'll see. Okay, yeah, Mellifluent basically doing what Leumas did, or the same principle, in the last game. Now he's player 1, so going to bring in the Matthew, the Lovina, and the Julian, 3 very strong AoE units, to try to put together some kind of rush combo. So Leumas banning out the Zerda there, a smart first ban in pretty much any box, but especially in a box like this. Basically, no matter which AoE units Mellifluent gets, if they can jump in, Zerda's able to just teleport to them and continue the bombardment, so always a very strong first ban. And I see Straw is raiding with a party of 9. Welcome to the stream, everyone. We are just starting pick and ban for game 3 between Mellifluent and Leumas. So you did miss a couple of interesting games. The first game and second game were each kind of one-sided. The first game was a very convincing win from Mellifluent. Second game, a very convincing win from Leumas. So it is actually going to be pretty interesting to see what is going to happen in this one. So Mellifluent going with that first pick Watham again. Really loves the first pick Watham. Leumas is going to play a bit more defensively this time as player 2, getting a first pick Lightbringer, making sure he has a tank. And we will see if Mellifluent is going to ban out the Rosenseal here, second ban. Once you see your opponents secure that beautiful first pick tank, you usually don't want them to have Rosenseal as well. Yeah. Does leave Sissy White available, though, if Leumas wants to have a healer. So Leumas has already chipped down a couple of these strong AoE units, which makes me think it's less likely that Mellifluent is even going to bother with the Julian at this point. He doesn't have anyone else to really combo it with. So he's basically just... He prefers to have the entire opponent's team injured, so he gets all of his range. And there's... I mean, the Watham can be an AoE, but other than that, there's no one else who can really paste Leumas' whole team early enough to make that Julian play worth it. So I can see Mellifluent going for more of the traditional single-target, aggressive DPS that he's been using in the past few games. So Dehart, for example, Epsilon as an accelerated aid bot. Claret, we always love to see Claret from Mellifluent, but lots of good DPS options. And Leumas still has the Sissy available if he does want to bother bringing a healer. Okay, so Mellifluent really sticking to the same game plan here of getting Watham first, picking up Epsilon around third pick. Pete, Leumas has been banning Duelist around this position in these matches, partly because he doesn't want to deal with the revenge mechanic and basically the map-wide vengeance damage from her chains. One It might be partly due to research if he's watched Mellifluent's past games, but Mellifluent likes to use Watham and the Sword as kind of dangling bait units. Once one of them gets killed after jumping in, then it really activates Wandering Duelist, and I think Leumas doesn't want to even bother dealing with that. Alright, the McLean is a very nice ban here. If you have a tank and Lucretia's Golem to help reduce your cooldowns, McLean can really help you bunker down. Especially since the only real flyer on this team right now is Watham, although of course Claret. What do we think? Is Claret not coming out 5th pick here? Claret's available. Leumas, to be honest, has a lot of great options. IBC can help hunker down with a comp like this as well, and she can help activate some of Leumas's units. Yeah, that's a good pick. So we are going to get the Claret. We're going to get to see some more oppressive Claret range happening here. The thing is, Leumas has a Lightbringer, so as long as she's able to guard the team, Leumas will be able to inch closer and closer to Mellifluent's team and not be totally hemmed out like he was in Game 1. So Claret's long range not as much of an oppressive force as it was. Mellifluent, though, still with a couple of units who can ignore guard. Lost him only with his 1 guard ignore skill. Other than that, the play will really be... I mean, Leumas didn't bring a dedicated healer either, so the play could be to bust through this Lightbringer, essentially. We've got some strong DPS regardless, some strong stripping. So these are all things that can hammer into Lightbringer. But if that gives Leumas enough time to be able to pick off Mellifluent's units, he just needs this to survive. Yeah, rope. I mean, I suppose you could say that the main thing Grenshiel did in the last game was make Clotair's explosion a little bit bigger. So we do have Faceless and the 1 guard ignore on this Lostum. Faceless will let his soldiers join in his guard ignore attack at 3 range. If he has Sand Seas, they only get their range boosted by 1, so oftentimes you'll see people try a 3 range attack with Sand Seas and it does no damage. That's the reason. So Lostum will be able to do a full range, full damage guard ignoring attack on either of these units if he wants to. I would expect to see Mellifluent launch this attack now. I mean, he could also go for the Meteor Faction buff to juice that Lostum up even more, but he has his target right here, and I don't think he needs the Faction buff to kill it. But this is the choice that Melliflluent is making right now. Okay, so he is going to buff. Okay, that will give Leumas the opportunity to move one of these bait units. Basically decide if you want that Lostum trying to kill your Waitham on the tree or your lower defense Epsilon not on the tree. I would expect to see Leumas move this Epsilon at this point. The only disappointing thing about moving the Epsilon... Oh, he's just going to block with Waitham. Yeah, he can run back. Basically just blocking with the sword. Interesting. So that takes both Epsilon and Waitham off the table for this Lostum. And Leumas really content to hang out back here in his little bunker. Cobra, you didn't miss too much so far. It has just been Melliflluent setting up buffs on his team, particularly on this Lostum, and Leumas has been hanging back. Yeah, Leumas is 3C on a lengthy cooldown now. And you're right, Maebari. This is basically just the opportunity for Melliflluent to get some free despair stacks. Not going for it quite yet. But yeah, he doesn't need to do it now because this IBC could cleanse the stacks. The other thing is now, with just patiently moving up like this Lostum can reach. I mean, he can reach now anyway, he just grapples to this other tree and then picks his poison. He could even opt to go for IBC here if he wanted, but he's going to stick with the original plan of going for this Epsilon. Easy kill. And Lostum is back safely on his tree. Now this Waitham can't reach because he's already used his act again, so he doesn't have that available to him to launch himself into the action. So there are stacks, but Waitham not able to teleport. I mean, he couldn't teleport even if he brought the skill, but he didn't bring his teleport skill regardless. So Melliflluent is going to be making their way in the old-fashioned way. Absol in the chat, never give IBC and Lostum on this map. A tip from the current reigning TSdL champion, everyone. This is a very IBC plus Lostum friendly map. Waitham picking up a Tenyo Breeze from Epsilon there. And the Sorry sticker as well. What do you think, chat? Is the Sorry sticker Is that considered bad manners after a Tenyo Breeze? Like, do you just leave the Tenyo Breeze as it is, or do you follow it up with a sticker? I mean, I think everyone knows when you hear that breeze noise, it's bad enough. Alright, Straw considers it polite. Obviously, as a response, it's fine. I just wanted to hear your thoughts in general on sticker usage. Okay, so the Lucretia was in range with a little boost from the Golem to be able to take out that Lostum on his tree, so that's fine. She's also still close enough to be able to get the Revive. He's not Watham blocked, so the Revive is still available. Not currently Watham blocked, at least. Well, we have a pretty even split of sticker advocates and sticker avoiders in the chat. It's always nice to see. Who won the trade? Cucumber. I think it's a little bit more than just lost him for Epsilon. I do think Melliflluent got a little bit more out of that trade, or out of that exchange, than Leumas did, because Leumas also already popped his sword on the front lines. So it's dangling up here, not doing anything, really, until Melliflluent wants it to do something. And Leumas's Watham isn't going to be able to jump for another several turns. So really the onus is just on Melliflluent to use this opportunity to continue to move up and exercise some map control. Claret is great for that. Obviously a breezed Watham is great for that. A shielded Epsilon is great for that. We actually don't have any AoE on Leumas's team. So if he wants to unshield that Epsilon, he's going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Most likely candidate would be a combo from Lucretia and Vance. Lostum going down does take one of Mellifluent's only guard ignorers off the table though, so it may help Leumas have a little bit more shelf life in this game. Epsilon being the other one. The other units are all going to have to crash into IB or into LB. Alright, and this Epsilon basically just getting that breeze for good measure. Doesn't need it, moving into position with his shield and his stealth on, so he is ready to start the next turn. Only 2 stacks currently, though. But his target is probably IBC. Once you get rid of the IBC, Leumas doesn't really have any great way to get rid of stacks or debuffs from the Watham. big hit from Claret. The kind of huge hit we're used to seeing Claret do. So she's got a weakened follow-up, but that's going to be enough to kill the Golem, who was left way back here out of guard range when Lightbringer moved forward. So that's essentially another trade. That is Claret for 1 life off Lightbringer and the Golem. It also gives Epsilon the final 2 stacks that he needed. Yeah, Straw, the new troops and the new casting passive as well. So she gets another, I think, was it Rope said it's basically 12% attack now in her casting passive? So for basically being a Wrecking Ball unit, like the kind of unit that you do exactly that move with, basically just chuck your Claret at whatever you want to kill, and she's going to do some damage to it. Yeah, Claret is a hidden gem, I'd say that. She's also nice because as flying she ignores McLean tiles, so she also isn't affected by Grenshiel's bonus damage against non-flying units. So there are a few other little, like, you know, beeps and boops that don't bother her. Okay, so that's going to be the final kill on the Lightbringer. So Loomis is left with just a couple of single target DPS. He doesn't want to bother playing the rest of this out, and calls it right there. Could have been a scrappy endgame. Both had a Watham, both had an IBC. Loomis had an Lucretia that was pretty much tapped out, though, and Epsilon was fully shielded, stealthed, and stacked up. So that would have been a pretty rough one for Loomis to try to claw back from. And to be honest, Loomis probably a little bit ticked. So, really good games though, I have to say, all 3 games. The first game was a very strong Melliflluent showing. Second game, a very strong Loomis showing. And third game, appropriately enough, really good matchup from both players. So this has been one of my favorite Summit der Langrisser matches to stream so far this season. So thank you for coming by, everyone. That's going to be it for me for now, but I think there are a couple more matches happening over the course of the rest of the night. I'm not 100% sure when the next one is, but Straw is in my chat, so he'll be able to let us know when the next match is. It's going to be in a couple hours, I think. Straw may be already bailed, so let me look up the stream schedule here. What time is it now? There should be one in about 20 minutes on Straw's stream, and that is going to be Absol versus Winston. Okay, so yeah, don't even log off, everyone. You've got your Twitch stream opened already. Just head back over to Straw's channel, and you will see the reigning champion, Absol, the champion, the winner of Summit der Langrisser Season 10, facing off against Winston. And then 2.5 hours after that one will be Maebari versus Katakuri, and that's going to be on Loomis's stream. So lots of good games left. Later after that one, we're also going to have Vice Lord versus Jaden Nelson. If you were watching the first round, you remember Vice Lord made some very amusing things happening with his Vargas. So that's going to be on Tenacious Rope's stream. So we're going to have 3 separate streams coming up after this one, all spaced out quite nicely. So yeah, if you're still in the mood for PvP, keep it going. Go check out Straw's stream, Loomis's stream, and Rope's stream. But thank you for stopping by here first. I love you all, and I'll catch you the next time I stream, which will be tomorrow with a special guest streamer. I'm going to have Mrs. Kong piloting my account in real Apex. I'm making Mrs. Kong, who doesn't know anything about this game, who has never obviously clicked or looked at anything in this game. I'm going to sit her down in front of the laptop, and she's going to live queue into real Apex matches against real opponents. And I'm going to stream it and possibly roast her in the background. So definitely look for that one tomorrow. Alright, catch you then, everyone.